Remember life before cell phones and cameras? Back when police would pull you over, they'll whoop your ass, take your dope, and send you on the way. Now they got cameras everywhere. Every cell phone is a camera. I'm recording this on a cell phone that has a camera. If something kicks off right now with the police and they pull somebody over, I can record the whole thing right here from my car with this cell phone. It was a different time. Do you think it was better when cops used to pull you over, whip your ass, take your dope, and send you on your way? Or do you like it better now that there's cell phones and that the cops, as soon as they get out the car, they got a camera on their clipped on their chest, camera in their car, and they're recording everything? They ain't sending nobody away like talking about. I mean, they can, minor infractions. But if you get caught, you know what I mean, with some dope, back in the day, if they busted you and you had a couple pieces of crack, they'd drop that on the ground and stomp on it and say, get on up out of here, because they didn't want to do the paperwork. And you know, they knew you was gonna bounce out anyway on a Mickey Mouse charge, you know what I mean, with a couple of grams of crack. You was gonna get out. They didn't want to get you with that. The detectives often would tell them, let you go, you know, because they knew that you often had more weight. They just need to wait patiently and they can catch you with some weight, you know. Shoot, I remember when the cops used to just beat you up, just to beat you up. I remember one time my dad came home back in the 80s and he was beat up bad. The cops at a bar, because my dad used to hit the ballrooms up all the time, and he was at the ballroom and he came back home and my dad, excuse me, my dad was beat up. I mean, they put him in the hospital. Oh, he should have been to the hospital. I don't remember. I was young. I was like a preteen. But I'll never forget my dad was beat up. Both his eyes were black. His face was swole. He had a broken nose. They might have fractured his jaw. They might have broke a rib or two. This was cops. He got beat up by like 3 or 4 cops. They hit him with billy clubs at the ballroom. Just so happened that when it came up out over the radio, one of my dad's best friends was a Jefferson Parish police officer. And he came to the scene. And when he got to the scene, him and my dad were, like I said, best friends. They did roofing work together when they were teenagers. And so they spent 6 years, working together as co-workers on the roofs back in the 70s and 80s. So they were really good friends. So when he gets there, they were going to drag my dad to jail and charge him even after they beat him. But they let my dad go because one of the officers who showed up, that officer knew the rest of the police officers. And they said, look, they told the police officer, just go ahead and take him and bring him home. So he brought my dad home. My mom nursed him back to health. But that could have been different if they would have charged him. Nowadays, they're just charged you. You're just going to go to jail. I remember one day I was driving down one of the main highways right outside of New Orleans, connects New Orleans and Metairie, Louisiana. Veterans Highway is like probably the busiest highway in the whole New Orleans area. That's where everything's located, on Veterans Highway. I'm riding down. I was doing a job or coming from work or doing something, and I saw the police just beating somebody. Dude, old boy was moving around, and I'm looking, I'm like, dang, they're whooping his ass. You know what I mean? Just a little bit before the major iPhones. This was early on, but they still had cell phones so people could take pictures, but not everybody had these highly pixelated cameras that we got now. So I look, I'm like, damn, I know that dude. And it was my brother. My brother was getting jumped by the cops. I called my mom. She said, what you did? I said, I pulled up. I said, man, that when I walked up, there was like 4 or 5 cops just beating my brother down. You know what I mean? I walked up and I said, they said, what you doing? They looked at me like, man, hold up, what you doing? I said, man, that's my brother. They said, it's your brother? They said, man, it's all good. They said, we're going to bring him to the hospital. They brought my brother to the hospital. My brother was amped up on dope. He was coked up. And he was literally fighting the cops. My brother used to get in fights with the cops all the time. And he was fighting the cops. And they drugged my brother to East Jefferson Hospital. And we went to the hospital. And he was so loaded and he had so many issues that they didn't feel like dealing with him. They let him go. You know what I mean? I was there. My mom was there. My wife came there. His wife came there. It was just a sad situation because my brother had, struggled with substance abuse. And substance abuse is a bad thing. But I would rather get whipped like my dad and brother and get let go than have to catch a charge. It's better to take a butt whipping than catch a charge. Trust me, I had butt whippings. I ain't never got beat like my dad and brother by the cops. You know, I got handled a little bit, but I ain't never got whooped like them. And I know some other people who got, I know a whole bunch of people who got whooped back in the 80s and the 90s who got whooped by the police. And in prison. That's a whole nother story. I seen dudes get whooped in prison. I'm about to tell y'all some stories coming up soon that's really going to blow y'all mind. But I was wondering if y'all remember when cops used to whoop your ass and send you on your way. Nowadays, that ain't really happening no more. But that was something I was just thinking about, and I wonder what y'all thought. Share in the comments. Have you ever gotten into a fight with a police? If you're a police officer and you're watching this, have you ever had to handle up with other police officers and did what you had to do? You know what I mean? Listen, I respect police officers. I hold their position in high regard. That's a hard job to do, and I have much respect for them. But not all police officers are good, and just like not all convicts are bad, you know? Anyway, welcome to the Pen and the Shank, the most unusual and unique prison-related channel on all of YouTube, where I got all kind of good videos talking about topics that you're not going to hear nowhere else. Like I said, this is the most unusual and unique prison experience on YouTube, the Pen and the Shank. Give me a like and subscribe and go check out those other videos. Let's get it.